to the SEC Unfiltered channel. We are reacting to night one of the SEC's just dominant performance in the ACC SEC Challenge. I should say SEC ACC Challenge. Alphabet be damned, folks. Wow. Again, I was telling somebody, or I was talking to a buddy late last night because as we're recording this, it's 6 a.m. I had a 10-team parlay. I picked every SEC team. Kentucky lost it for me at the end. I'm not going to be too mad at Mark Pope and the boys. But your boy left a lot of money on the table, but I hit 9 out of 10. I'm still pretty impressed. I'm impressed with the SEC. We all have been, guys. We knew it going into the week. I think our buddies over at Hoops Southman posted it. Right now, 1 through 16 in the league. That's every team for people keeping up at home. Every road game in the SEC would be a quad 1 loss right now. That shows you how strong this league. It could be one of the better leagues in the last 20 years that we've seen. That's not me. Those are numbers that are being thrown out there. Obviously, not every road game will be a quad 1 loss because obviously teams will start collect losses. But right now, it's just kind of a statement to it. Before we get started, though, remember this reaction to night one of the SEC ACC Challenge is presented by our buddies over at Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com. Use code SECU at sign up to get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 or more lineup. But let's get right into it. Tennessee, the Volunteers, beat Syracuse 96-70. Let me share the screen for you right here. Get you that box score. Again, we're not going to go in depth totally just because there's 10 games to go. If I spent 10 minutes here, we'd be over an hour and you would stop listening. But we're going to hit the meat and potatoes of this. Overall, Tennessee, I thought they really did a really good job rebounding here. Dominating a pretty good Syracuse team that rebounds the basketball well. That's what I was looking for in this game. Tennessee did that. 40-26 on the offensive or on the rebounding side in general. Tennessee with shooting 53% from the field. 34% from three. Again, this isn't a great Syracuse team, folks. Let's call a spade a spade. The thing I do like about Tennessee, though, is Chaz Lanier is starting to come in his own a little bit. Jordan Gainey's starting to come in his own a little bit off the bench. And we know in this league and in college basketball in general, you need someone that kind of has that microwave ability that Jordan Gainey does off the bench. It's kind of what you're seeing right now. I thought Tennessee would handle this business. It's why they were favored by so much going into it. It was at home. They donned the black jerseys. Not a ton to take. It's just I think Tennessee overall, you like the way Cade Phillips, the Jacksonville, Alabama native, is coming on. 12 points, 6 boards. He will be – I think Cade Phillips will be an X factor. Chaz Lanier and Cade Phillips will be the 2 X factors on this team, in my opinion. I think we know what we're going to get with Zakai Ziegler night in, night out. Felix Akapara, I think we know the Ohio State transfer, what we're going to get. Igor Milicic, the Charlotte transfer, I think we feel pretty comfortable. We know what we're going to get. How good this Tennessee team is, the ceiling is going to be set, I think, by Cade Phillips and what Chaz Lanier can do. I think that's it, point blank. Tennessee helps the SEC get to 1-0, 96-70 over. This isn't Jim Boeheim's Syracuse anymore. They don't play the zone anymore. But overall, big win. I mean, nothing too wild there. Let's go. I hate to do this one, folks. Well, no, we'll come back. We'll come back to this one. Arkansas holds on to beat Miami. Let me share the screen right here for you. Pulling up the box score so you have a visual. Arkansas hangs on. When we knew this would be ugly. If you listen to any of my preview on Dave Talks Ball on Monday night, you knew this one was going to be ugly. Arkansas gets the 76-63 win. Again, down 8 at half, down at 11 at one point in the second half. Overall, though, Arkansas comes out strong, finishes really strong. And if you're an Arkansas fan, you wanted to see that. This was not a good Miami team. They were coming in, I believe, 4 straight losses, 3. I mean, but the thing is, if you're Arkansas, you liked how you shot the 3-pointer last night. You liked how you shot from beyond the arc, 47.8%, 11 for 23. Got to get the rebound percentage up. It's just this team's inconsistent right now. I mean, it is across the board. I thought Boogie Flan continues to do his thing here. I mean, but we got to have some other guys step up. I mean, we're looking at the total box score here. I mean, you had 3 starters in double figures, but you're really getting not much from your bench outside from Big Z. And again, like, when's Jonas Adu come back really from a health perspective? That'll be something that would be interesting there. Nelly Davis going for 12. He's got to start coming on. Arkansas still just trying to figure themselves out right now. And this would have been a bad loss, especially coming off the kind of handling against Illinois. The game was really never in doubt. It wasn't a total butt whipping, but it was never in doubt. You needed this one because this is not a good Miami team. This is not a good Miami team with Jim Larinaga in them. This is a solid Arkansas team right now, probably a little worse than the record says. You needed this one, though. I don't know if this is a hang-your-hat type win, but this would have been a bad loss to a Miami team, a team you're definitely better than. Nigel Pack was a kid from Miami that we said was a standout player, went 22 points. But Arkansas, in the second half run, I mean, it was a slow start for both these teams offensively, but Arkansas gets the 73 win over Miami in a much-needed win. They really had to have this one. Well, let's go to a negative one. We gotta throw this one in. The only loss of the night for the SEC. Clemson beats Kentucky 70-66. Pulling up the visual for you. There's really not much to say. I thought this was a dangerous game. I picked Kentucky. I thought this was a really dangerous game for them, though. Little John Arena, Clemson's the last 2 years beat Alabama, beat Kentucky. They play well in this ACC-SEC challenge. Really holding it up. The only flag for the ACC. It was just a bad shooting night for the Cats. I mean, it really was. That's going to happen. I mean, again, the unfortunate thing from field goal percentage, 38%, 25% from three, really just got nothing going. Really got nothing going across the board offensively on a consistent basis. Thought they defended fine, only giving up 70 points. It's just you're going to have these nights, especially on the road. I mean, you just are. It is what it is. You see it with Alabama, a team that likes to get up tempo and play a lot. Just really, overall, not a great night for really anybody. What did my guy Kobe Brago? 1 for 2, granted not bad, 50%. Really got nothing from Kerr Krissa, though. Really, the Arizona, I know it's early in the season, but just so people know, the West Virginia-Arizona transfer, really got nothing from him. Lamont Butler was doing the Lamont Butler things. You can appreciate what he does night to night. But really, there wasn't – this is just a tough road game against a Clemson team with one loss. This is a Clemson team that was in an Elite Eight last year. They got my guy, the chef, Ian Shefflin, went for 11 last night. Overall, I mean, this isn't a bad loss. You just lost to a pretty good basketball team on the road. I mean, it is what it is. You just didn't shoot well that night. You just didn't. You shot 61% from free throw line. That's not going to get it done. How many turnovers did Kentucky end up having? 12. I mean, not bad. They didn't force a lot either. It's just a tough loss. I mean, it's not really. I mean, hey, go regroup. Everything will be fine. We just had a cold night shooting. We got to get some things fixed. This was a true road game, really, for them. Their first true, real road game. Again, when they played Duke in Atlanta in the Champions Classic. So we're getting into it now, just like Auburn tonight. They'll go to Duke in their first true road game. I know they played Houston in Houston, but it was at the Toyota Center. So these teams start getting into these true road games. You're going to maybe see them feel the effect of the environment a little bit that you wouldn't see in these neutral site games. I think that's fair. I think that's kind of what you got here in this perspective. But this was the only loss for the SEC tonight. Clemson getting the 70-66 win over Kentucky. Georgia beats Notre Dame. Georgia's good, folks. 69-48. Pull up the box score for you. I thought Georgia did a good job hanging on here. They were up 12. Notre Dame got on a run in the second half. Started firing all those cylinders, but I would say the key here was Asa Newell. 20 points, 8 for 16 from the field. Did a really good job. I mean, Georgia's got a big one next week, too. Grand Canyon. If they could they obviously beat Notre Dame and beat Grand Canyon. Those are two good non-conference wins over. I know Notre Dame's got a losing record. I think they're a little better when you watch the game than the record says. They got some injuries as well. Micah Shrewsbury's done a good job over there. I mean, overall, 44% from field, 23%. It wasn't Georgia's best night, but you know what? In the past, I don't know if they lose this game, but it's definitely much closer. This Georgia team's good, folks. I mean, it really is. They got a lot of different weapons on that. They got a lot of different keys on this. Asa Newell, I told you, 20 points last night. Silas Demery's a good player. Dakota LaFew has probably been their most consistent shooter all year. He was 4 for 9 from beyond the arc. Just done a phenomenal. What's he shoot? Let's look it up. What is he shooting for the season right now from beyond the arc? He's done a really good job this year. 3-point percentage. Oh, need to go to the stats right there, the full box. 24-25 from 3-point range right now. 36%. I actually thought, no, that's for his career. 41% right now. So he's shooting over 40% from three. That's key from the Mount St. Mary's trench. That's key. He'll be an X factor. I was talking about Tennessee's X factor. That will be an X factor for the Georgia Bulldogs there. They get a key win, help the SEC chalk up a dub against the ACC as well. I'm going to stop sharing that one. Again, guys, I told you, with 10 games, again, I'm not trying to make this video long because we're going to go live again tonight. Missouri beats Cal 98-93. This game wasn't as easy as I thought it potentially could be for the Missouri Tigers here. Let's pull it up. 98-93, Missouri getting the win there. Second half was really key for Missouri here. Overall, 66% from the field, 33% from three-point range, 11 turnovers, forced 15. Cal's okay. Cal's not a bad basketball team. They're just very average across the board. So the second half was really key for Missouri here down the stretch. I mean, it really was. Yeah, Anthony Robinson was the highlighter tonight. Mark Mitchell as well. This was a win I think Missouri and Dennis Gates needed. Again, God, you feel bad for them. Imagine if they had that Memphis win. And Memphis went on and finished second, lost to Auburn in the Maui Invitational Championship game. Memphis is an improved team. Missouri was winning most of that game. If they would have had that game, you're sitting at 8-0. This Missouri team's definitely improved. They're not going over in league play again. I know everyone understands that. But this was a game that you probably would have looked back on non-conference, maybe from Missouri, and been like, this would be one that maybe leaves them out of the NCAA tournament. I'm not saying Missouri's an NCAA tournament team yet. They're definitely improved. They look better physically. They're faster, more physical. This would have been one they probably look back on the end of the season if they were to lose and be like, damn, how did we lose this game? So you're glad they had a comeback and got a big home win right there against a pretty above average Cal team. Moving on to the next one. South Carolina. I thought Boston College may get it. South Carolina beats Boston College 73-51. Pulling up so you have a visual. 73-51. South Carolina really controlled this one from the jump. I mean, give Colin Murray Bulls was the big spotlight today. 16 points, 7 for 14, 1 for 3. I mean, the big question mark is going to be when Colin Murray Bulls is able to do this, South Carolina is going to be able to beat most average to above average teams. When they go play other good teams, the teams that know how to defend Colin Murray Bulls, or at least even double him where he can't really do anything, who steps up outside of Colin Murray Bulls? Who does? No one really did last night. I mean, Nick Pringle had 11 and 4 boards, but really none of the guards between Jacoby Wright, Jamari Thomas, Miles Studi. I want to see more from Studi. If I'm a South Carolina fan, I want to see I'm Lamont Paris. I want to see a little more out of Studi. Again, even in this game, they only scored 73 points. They just played phenomenal defense and held Boston College to 51 points on, what did they shoot last night? 12% from 3, 33% from the field. Hell of a job there by South Carolina defensively. But it's still, to my point, outside of Colin Murray Bulls, who's producing offensively, that'll be the key down the stretch. But South Carolina improves to 5-3, getting a big road win against Boston College tonight. Another victory, one of 9 wins for the SEC last night. Moving to the next game, Oklahoma, Porter Moser and the boys continue to do Porter Moser and the boys things, guys. After winning the Battle for Atlantis tournament last week, they get the 76-61 win. This was a game, too, they had to come back. And it was an interesting spot because they were probably feeling real good about themselves after winning the championship and came back home against a feisty Georgia Tech team. Georgia had played them early in the year, and it was back and forth. But I thought overall this wasn't a bad performance. Again, it's about spots, like in these games. And it's like, no, you just take it. It may not have been your best, but you take it from – because Porter Moser's team in this new league is just learning how to win, like right now. And that's what they're taking. And it wasn't a great Georgia Tech team, but you will take that win right there. Go to the box score, individual box scores here. Kobe Elvis going for 12. Jeremiah Fears, again, I think he's the most underrated player in the league right now, going for 18. And Jalen Moore going for 15. Thought a great game across the board for Oklahoma, giving the circumstances that you knew there'd probably be a little sleepy lull going into this one. You just did. Again, we're dealing with 18 to 22-year-old kids at times. So I think it was to be expected. Was it their best game? No. Again, Georgia Tech led 34-30 at half. But I think you take it giving off, coming up what you did in the Bahamas last week. There's no way you thought your team was going to get that refocused 2 to 3 days later. So give Porter Moser and his team credit for bouncing back. I mean, this team's carried really for the most part. But, I mean, I say that. I mean, he had 4 guards here in double. I mean, he had 4 starters here in double figures. But, really, Jeremiah Fears is the guy to keep an eye on, guys. Most underrated player in the league right now. Texas A&M is a big one for Buzz and the boys. They needed this home win against Steve Forbes, Hunter Salas, and Wake Forest. They get the 57-44 win. I mean, a typical A&M game. Muck it up, ugly, drag you in the mud. They're going to go play rebounds, miss shots. They out-rebounded them by 10. A&M's not shooting. They didn't shoot well, 38%, 22% from 3. Forcing turnovers, 15. They got to start limiting them themselves, though, 18. This is just a typical Buzz Williams, Wade Taylor type game, guys. I mean, it is what it is. This is Texas A&M. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be ugly at times. I mean, Hunter Salas did Hunter Salas things, went for 19 points. Wade Taylor was 4 from 11 from the field, 4 for 9 from beyond the arc. Really not a lot to discuss in this one other than just, a good win against a solid ACC team. I remember watching Wake Forest against Alabama in an exhibition. And Wake Forest is fine. A&M's better being at home, Reed Arena. This was a non-conference game A&M needed. And they got 2 solid home wins now in non-conference play against Ohio State and Wake Forest. So give them credit. It's not pretty when you go look back and watch it and you look at the box score, but that is just the way Buzz Williams and this team plays. They just suffocate you. They're almost like a triple option football team to an extent. And maybe that's not the right word. It's just a team that runs it's almost like a Kansas State football. We're going to run the football. Now, I say that Kansas State doesn't turn the football over, and A&M had 15 to 18 turnovers in this game. So I say that, but it's going to be a muck it up style play. It's not going to be a pretty brand of basketball all the time. But they get the win. They got 2 big wins, 2 non-conference wins. They won 3 of the last 4 against solid competition. So give Buzz Williams and them credit for the win there. Ole Miss, I think they were one of the more impressive teams of the night. Ole Miss is a top 20 team, folks. I thought they would lose this game. I thought it'd be a bad spot coming back from San Diego. Tough loss, buzzer beater loss to a top Purdue team that they thought they could win this game. But no, they came out and they dominated. They didn't have that great of a first half. They were up 9. I think Matthew Morrell and Brakefield had combined 2 points or maybe 4 points just off the top of my head. Ole Miss, man, played really well. It could have probably played better. 56% from the field, 40% from 3, 30 got out rebounded. Didn't have many turnovers. But I think overall, Chris Beard in his second year is going to take that big step. These transfers are stepping up. India, Padula has been playing well. Morrell went great last night. Dre Davis, 20 points. The Seton Hall transfer going 9 for 12, 2 for 3 from behind the arc. Juju Murray, only 10. But even then, I think you got to be fired up about what Ole Miss is doing. Ole Miss is a top 20 team, in my opinion, for sure, an NCAA tournament team. I think they could be fighting for a top 5 seed in the NCAA tournament, top 6 seed potentially. This was a big win. Again, Louisville now, back-to-back losses to SEC teams. Lost to Oklahoma in the battle for Atlanta's championship, lost to Ole Miss. I just thought this was a bad spot for Ole Miss. Vegas believed me as well. I thought the line was 3.5 going into it. Ole Miss, I think, was the most impressive team night 1, SEC, ACC challenge. Maybe the most impressive team in the entire challenge outside of just the league. Already wrapping up the challenge the first night, going 9-1. I love what Ole Miss and Chris Beard and them are doing. Phenomenal win for Coach Beard. And then finally, the last game, LSU beats Florida State 85-75. Bring up the screen for you right here. Back and forth. Florida State came in here on a 4-game winning streak. They'd already lost to an SEC team already in Florida, just so y'all know kind of we're comparing these teams right here. I thought LSU was solid. Again, I really want to go back and watch a little bit more of this highlights to dive deeper into this one. Obviously, watched it, but as many games as they're going on, you can't be locked in like you want. Tonight will be easier because there's 6 games. 45% from the field, 33% from 3-point range, 11 turnovers, 14 turnovers. They forced 14 turnovers from Leonard Hamilton's squad. I thought overall it kind of scared me because LSU's been playing better away from home in the Greenbrier tournament, won at Kansas State, and they've been struggling with ULM, Northwestern State a little bit. Don't look at the scores of those games. They struggled in some of those. Go back and watch the games like I did. But I thought overall, Cam Carter, he will be key for this team, especially with Tyrell Ward being away, probably good for this team. I thought that was going to be key. But if Jordan Sears and Cam Carter can continue to play at this level, LSU's going to have a chance to potentially finish in the top 10 of the league, I think. Potentially. I don't think they will, but they could. This league is just loaded, folks. So I think when you're talking about Missouri, when you're talking about Georgia, when you're talking about LSU, teams like that, Oklahoma, they need to win these games against the Louisvilles, the Florida States, the mid-tier like ACC, Big Ten teams. I know those are both ACC teams, but just in general. Again, you talk Oklahoma, get a second-round win against Arizona, beat Providence, who's a mid-tier Big East team, and the Big East isn't even that good this year outside of Marquette. It is what it is. I love this win for LSU. Again, it's not going to look pretty, but it's against a 7-2 Florida State team. It came in on a 4-game win streak, so give Matt McMahon and his team credit from that perspective. Previewing briefly, night 2. Just previewing briefly, night 2, SEC, ACC challenge. Let's pull it up for you. I'm going to go pull up the schedule. We got 6 games tonight. We have the 2 headliners, obviously Alabama at North Carolina, and then Auburn at Cameron Indoor tonight. but pulling up the entire league schedule. We had an under the radar game. Pitt at Mississippi State will be unbelievable. Alabama at North Carolina. Carolina's favored by 2.5 going into this one. They've played 3 straight years now. The PK tournament, the Sweet 16 last year. Is this RJ Davis's revenge game? He shot as poorly as he probably did in his career against Alabama in the Sweet 16. Latrell Wright sells out for Alabama. How does Alabama manage those minutes with their guards? I think Alabama's probably the better team. Remember, Carolina's already lost to Kansas, Auburn, and Michigan State. So Alabama has 2 losses as well. A buzzer beater to Oregon, a game they were up late against Purdue, but let the 13-0 run at Mackey Arena. That's always going to get you beat. I think Alabama's probably the better team. I'm going to pick Alabama. Don't feel great about it here, though. Don't feel great about it. The way Alabama's been turning over the basketball, that will have to improve. I think they're going to have to be anywhere from the 10 to 12 turnover range to win this game. They got to keep it at that. 7:15 on ESPN2, Virginia at Florida. Florida favored by 16.5. I think Florida's a top 10 team in the sport right now. I think they're a top 4 team in the SEC right now. I think Florida big. They've played a lot recently too, Virginia. I know they played last year. I think Florida big. The headliner, Auburn, number 2 team in the country. I think they're number 1, but they're going to give it to Kansas because they haven't lost yet. 9:15 on ESPN at Cameron Indoor. Duke favored by 2.5. Duke's lost 2 already, folks. Lost 2 games already to Kentucky. We all remember that one. And then Kansas. 2 close games like that. I think one of these games, which is wild. I mean, Alabama and Duke are both Alabama and Auburn are playing Duke and North Carolina 8 miles apart, both on Tobacco Road. Close game. I would be shocked if both Alabama and Auburn won, but I'll also be shocked if both of them lost. I think one of them is going to win. I predicted Duke to win this game in our predictions. I picked Alabama to beat North Carolina. I think the big matchup in this one's the true freshman McDonald's All-American, potentially number 1 draft pick, Cooper Flagg going against the wily vet. I think the best basketball player in the sport right now, Janai Broome. I think Auburn's the better team. If this game was at a neutral site or certainly at Auburn, I'll go Auburn. I think just like I mentioned, first true road game will be key. Remember, they played Houston at the Toyota Center, not at Houston. I know it was in the city of Houston. Then obviously they played Iowa State, North Carolina, Memphis, all in Maui. This is the first true road test. I think that's kind of a shell shock to teams, even as old as Auburn's roster is. I think Duke gets a very close one. I think Auburn's still the best team in the country. 9:15 Eastern on the SEC Network. Number 18, Pitt at Mississippi State. Pitt beat LSU in the Greenbrier tournament in West Virginia 2 weeks ago. I thought this, just so you're comparing SEC schedules when you're talking about other teams, I like to bring that up in here. Mississippi State favored by 5.5 at Humphrey Coliseum tonight, the Hump. I think Chris Jans and the boys get it done. Obviously, you trust Hubbard, who steps up and helps them, though. They need to continue to get big performances from Riley Kugel. I think this is one of the more underrated matchups across the country tonight. 9:15 Eastern tonight, Texas at NC State. Texas minus 2.5. I don't get a great feel for this game from Texas. Someone else needs to step up. Someone else needs to step up and help Texas in this game overall. From just outside of Trey Johnson, somebody's got to step up and win this game. I'm a little worried about this one from that. I don't know. Texas is favored, but at NC State, I don't know. Just weird things happen. I got NC State winning this game. And then 9:15, Vanderbilt coming in 7-1. Mark Byington at Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech's already lost to South Carolina from the SEC. Again, just comparing SEC teams that are playing these other non-cons that these SEC teams are playing in these tournaments. Vanderbilt favored by 5.5. I think Vanderbilt takes care of business. Would it shock me? No. Again, these early road tests with new teams, new staff, certainly with Vanderbilt. I think Vanderbilt's the better basketball team and wins this game. But that's one to keep an eye on, though. I don't know. Just weird things happen sometimes in these tournaments. But the SEC trying to go 15-1 in this classic, folks. The SEC trying to go 15-1 in this classic, which would be phenomenal. But, man, the SEC, best conference in college basketball right now. People are saying the best league in the last 20 years, potentially. They started off 9-1 last night in the ACC-SEC Challenge. Kentucky, the only loss to Clemson. We got another night of it night as well. I just previewed that for you. Obviously, the 2 headliners, Bama, North Carolina, Auburn, Duke. Under-radar game, not only in the league, but nationally. Pitt at Mississippi State. Pay attention to that one, guys. Phenomenal first night. I appreciate you listening. I love bringing the review to you guys. Go to the SEC Unfiltered channel on YouTube. Go give us the follow, go like, subscribe, hit the notification, rate, review, hit us all. Tell us where we can improve. This is the best SEC content you can get across the country, across the world. Football, basketball, baseball coming up in the spring. Everything, guys. But this segment was brought to you by our buddies over at Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com. Use code SECU at sign up to get $50 when you play your first $5 or more lineup, folks. I'm your host, Dave Shumate. I appreciate you listening. You have a phenomenal day.